From one historic ending now to a historic kickoff on the West Coast is an ACC opener for Cal taking on the U. We will talk it all up here at the Voice of College Football Miami. Cam Underwood's here, of course, so gather round, listen to Cam spin a tale or two for us, and break down what we saw on Friday night and what we may see Saturday late night after Cam catches a couple naps, as he has let us know. I slug it all the way through, Cam, all the way through the day, through the night, and you're just a youngster, and you're going to be taking naps this Saturday.
Yeah, that's actually true. I will be taking naps to do that. And look, it's a thing that I've long said. It's the difference between like being up and being out. You know what I mean? Like I can be up, but I mean, like, yeah, especially when I'm riding good, bad, and ugly, through these games and things like that. I do need to kind of be dialed in and whatnot. But hey, no, I mean, look, I've definitely sowed my royal oats down here in Miami. There have been plenty of time. A good friend of mine used to work for a major liquor company based out of Miami. If you know, you know. And while he worked there for 11 years, at the beginning of that time, he's like, man, I always go to these great events. And like that. And I said, it's the year of yes. So if you call me, I'll be there. And I mean, I can say this now with no repercussions, but yeah, there were plenty of times that I left straight from South Beach and went straight to my classroom and had a stick of deodorant in my desk and a different shirt so I didn't smell like the club. But yeah, so definitely have done that before. Don't necessarily need to do that now, but it'll be similar vibes, yeah, with Miami kicking off 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific from Cal on this Saturday evening.
That is pretty serious. But hey, if you can do it and still deliver, as the awards and the trophies obviously point to, then hey, then you can do it.
Look, it's kind of like Miami's last game. Wasn't necessarily always on my A game every single day. Sometimes a little bit lower energy and whatnot. And it was a thing. I had a colleague in Broward County. She's a young lady who teaches and everything. And it was a thing like her kind of like Clark Kent Superman was whenever she wore glasses and had her hair up in a bun, like her students would be coming in and be like, oh, nah, hey, she's not playing today. Put your stuff, get you like, but like, I don't have that kind of a thing. So I would have to verbally be like, hey, whatever it is, just lock in, if it was something like that. But yeah, she would kind of like change. And as soon as they came around the corner in the hallway at the school she worked at, they were like, oh, whoa, yeah, Miss whatever's not playing today. So similar kind of a thing. But hey, we got through it. It was great memories and everything. And hopefully, again, Miami will make some great memories in the first ever West Coast ACC game of exist. Well, and Stanford is hosting Virginia Tech, I believe.
Yep.
So both California Atlantic Coast Conference schools, make sense, will be hosting at the same time or day at least.
I was out on Friday night, but not to the extent that you're talking about, like all night. I was just out for dinner and so forth, so on. So I got home. YouTube TV sometimes screws me on my ability to hit, I want to watch the game from the beginning. But fortunately, in this instance, sometimes I hit that and it still takes me to the in progress point of the game. Anyway, fortunately, this time, boom, I wanted to see the game from the beginning, wanted to see if I could catch up to it. So I'm scurrying through, I'm watching every play, watching this game unfold. Because I had checked my phone a couple times while I was out to see the score, see that it was a good ball game. And it was funny because I caught up to the game at the point that I had seen the final score, but it was the wrong final score because ESPN or whomever put it up as soon as touchdown called on the field. And so I'm like, whoa, what am I going to see here? Because I was just right behind it. And I see, obviously, Virginia Tech's got the football. Yeah. So they drive down and so then I'm expecting that they won the game and the call stood and so forth and so on. But then I caught up to it and saw it play out in real time, the reversal of the call, which, for the record, was the correct call to make. and I've explained this a number of times, at least my viewpoint, and I didn't even delve deep into the rule book or anything, but
he didn't catch the damn ball. Like, it's
nobody caught the ball except for the Miami player who was laying out of bounds, so it's a dead ball.
right. And like, so that throw came directly towards the press box at Hard Rock Stadium. So it's not even like I was like, well, it's way on the other side of the world, and it was right there in front of us, and live with my naked eyes, I could see that he didn't catch the ball. Like, it was always moving, like you have seen on the replays. Yeah. It was always moving. And then it was Isaiah Horton. And like, we kind of had to do a quick look. And it's funny, guy sitting next to in the press box, Brandon O'Doy, he knew it was Isaiah Horton because of the cleats that Horton wears, as opposed to anybody else. And then, but they had to do the double number thing or they had to do the random jersey number because Isaiah Horton wears number 2. So does star cornerback Daryl Porter Jr. So just like Ray Armstrong on punts, they're like, hey, we have this extra jersey. Go throw that on so we don't get a penalty. Remind me to come back to that. And so he goes in there and like, yo, he's 6'4". He was a high jumper in high school. He's the guy that we can put back there, him and like Riley Williams, but like Isaiah Horton being a little bit more fleet of foot. We're going to put him. And like, the ball was never possessed until Isaiah Horton had the ball. So, and I'm just like, cool. All right. Oh my God, they got batted around, but did they call touchdown on the field? And I'm like, there's no justification for that whatsoever because a potential scoring play would have been reviewed anyway. So it's not even like you had to do that to open the door. Right? You could have called it incomplete and immediately said the call on the field is under further review. The same thing that they did, but they made up this catch, and Virginia Tech people swear that they're getting screwed and everything. Like, look, y'all, they played a great game, and I'll give them the credit that they took advantage of the situations that we presented them. But Miami presented them with infinite damn near opportunities to be in this game, and yeah, it was just clearly incomplete and shouldn't have been in that situation. Shouldn't have been close, to be perfectly honest. I mean, look, and again, like, and before like you hop back in, I know that you and some other people might have pushed back on my accounting of leaving at least 25 points on the field at Florida. I stand by that. Here, you had a touchdown on the field called back for bullshit holding. That was a guy who, that defender was in a twisted position. You have a big 6'9", 350-pound dude who's just like, cool, so you're twisting and trying to twist back and lost your feet. I'm going to pancake you. And that took 7 off the board this way. And Virginia Tech had 17 of their 34 points directly off of Miami's 3 turnovers. That's 24 right there. Including, again, points off the board for Miami. This game, and it was a 4-point win as it was. Look, by taking away their 17, that's 21. You get the 7 there. That's 28. Bro, this game wasn't close. If you look at the advanced stats, if you look at this game wasn't close. But I will give them credit. They played hard. Kyron Jones is a motherfucker. Like, there were 5 or 6 times where he's sacked if he's another quarterback. But he's big and strong and just, like, flip the ball some kind of weird way. Like, they did a lot. But, like, this is, to me, really that one holding call away from being a boat race. And then, hey, you make some plays. You trick Cam into 2 different interceptions. He was trying to do too much on the first drive with the fumble. But I know Justin DeTavio, State of the U, he broke it down. The first interception was a double post with a wheel behind it. And we've thrown that a lot. And then even Shannon Dawson and Cam Ward both said, I was supposed to throw that ball back shoulder. And he didn't. He threw it inside. But I'm like, but also it's a great play by the safety number 18. I keep forgetting his name because it doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to watch Virginia Tech anymore. But he baited Cam into it. He did. He said, I'm going to carry this post, and I'm looking right here. And as soon as it looks open, he's going to throw it, but I'm ready for it already. It was a great play by that guy. That should have never happened because Miami scored on the play before. You know what I mean? But like, yeah. So I say all that to say that, yeah, it was interesting going along in that game. But I mean, yeah, look, yeah, 394 yards. They did get, a chunk on the last drive. But over 500 yards for Miami. The three turnovers is really huge. They did get 23 first downs. That was a lot. But I mean, yeah, But hey, win your clunkers, survive in advance, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and it was more equal on rushing because if you take away, and I mean, but you can't do it. But it's the same thing like, last week at USF when I said, Miami didn't run for 170. They ran for 80 or 79 plus a 91 yarder. You take away the 55 yarder where Kiko Mawinoa hits Bashal Tootin in the hole. They're at 150 yards rushing, which is not great, but it's not 200 something. But it's the same thing like the Florida game. Like Florida didn't really run the ball well, but they had a 71 yarder. So lots to fix, lots to come back from. But yeah, I'll stop my soliloquy.
Okay. So going back to the final play, again, once I was able to process what I was watching, like, okay, what means possession of a ball and all those things and who's out of bounds. And I was really processing, okay, make sense of this because there wasn't necessarily, it wasn't like, okay, foot down, ball secured, anything like that, like we usually see. It's like this massive humanity. Mm-hmm. And I think people get confused with, okay, well, the call was initially this. So regardless of what my eyes are telling me and my knowledge of the rule book, there was a call on the field. So unless they can explain how it should be overturned, then it shouldn't be overturned. It should go to the call on the field. Well, it could be explained how it should be overturned. I don't know that it was explained well, but anyway.
The ACC did come out with a statement after the game.
Oh, later, but I'm talking about on the field. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that was pretty pitch perfect to what the statement was. Like the ball, like the receiver did not possess the ball. It was touched by a Miami player who was out of bounds. Therefore, it makes it incomplete. Like the play is dead immediately. Miami wins. Like I see pretty clear synergy between what he said and what the statement was.
Okay. I kind of reasoned it this way. I'm thinking of a situation that we would never see on a football field, but just imagine if a ball is thrown along the sideline and the defender leaps up, catches the ball, and as he's falling, he has 1 foot inbounds and 1 foot out of bounds. And as he hits the ground and the play is dead, at that exact second, an offensive player steals the ball out of his hands, and it looks like, okay, well, he caught the ball or something. Yeah. What did we just see? Well, what we saw was the ball was dead as soon as the player hit out of bounds. Right. Regardless of how confusing it is or quick or what the timing is, if it's determined based on videotape evidence that the ball was possessed by somebody out of bounds, the play is dead. And it can't be taken away. And it never was taken away from him anyway, from what I could see.
I mean, it wasn't. And I mean, I know Virginia Tech people, they wanted to freeze frame for 1/10,000th of a second that the receiver
understand the motivation
had.
That's what fans do.
But like it was moving. You know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, like,
and that's what I was waiting for when I started watching the replay. I was waiting for a time, and it still wouldn't have mattered because it was possessed out of bounds. But anyway, for a time in which the Virginia Tech player actually secured the football, and it never happened. It just was kept.
Again, and before y'all like say, "Oh well, Cam, you're home." Mark is not. Sorry, I'll go this way. Sorry, it's that way on my screen. You know what I mean? So like objectively, like it just, I was just waiting honestly on emotion for Miami to be screwed by the ACC. that's what but because we've seen it before. I thought that was going to be another instance of it. I am surprised that they actually got the call right, in spite of everything else. I've seen so many different people, in so many different studio shows talk about, well, it was the right call, but the process was kind of flawed, and so it's not fair to Virginia Tech because there are wrong calls other times, and I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, to me, the ends of the call being right justify the means through which we got
Absolutely.
to the right conclusion, whatever that conclusion is.
Yeah.
Right. And hey, like, again, I don't believe that the right conclusion was Donald Chaney Jr. fumbled against Georgia Tech. I do not believe the post was, or the picture was tweeted out a million times. Ball in his hand, elbow hits, in possession. I don't believe that the means to get to that decision to say he fumbled got to the right conclusion. And the ACC even said so afterwards. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it is controversial, but again, like this, it is another point for people to hate Miami for, and hey, if they hate and let them hate, watch the money pile up. Like, y'all can be mad about it. Like, I will be, like, if you want to hate somebody, we'll be the jerks. Let's be jerks. Give us all of your hate. That is perfectly fine. But yeah, it was the right ruling. It was the true and correct thing that he never had the ball to begin with. And so it wasn't a catch. Now, yeah, it was frustrating, anxiety inducing to be like there and just waiting. I looked between my tweets because my guy Mike McCoy was with me writing the recap. It was 7 minutes from the play, like the play live, till the final second ruling determination. So yeah, it was a little bit of time, and so it was like 7 minutes real time, but I think it was 5 minutes or 4.5 that he was actually under the hood in the review. Because remember, he was like, "Oh, hey, touchdown! Wait, do not clear the field. Return to your sidelines. Like, pick up your stuff. The game is not over. Hey." So there was that kind of delay in there as well. But yeah, it was definitely a lot to learn for the Hurricanes from this game, and that final play, and everything, and even the penultimate play, because like maybe you bring a little bit of pressure and don't let Kyron Drones just jog for 15 to make that last throw a little easier. Maybe you don't do that, maybe you, I don't know, but yeah, everything is under evaluation, and it was not just that play. It did just happen to be a very consequential final play because it was literally either team is going to win the game. But the right team won, and 5-0 moving on.
Yeah, I don't understand the process argument either. I understand that maybe things could be a little better executed. It's almost like, to take it to your arena, and you'll explain this better than me, that maybe you had a remarkable first-rate A+ concert performance with your choir, but looking back on it, you thought, oh, we could have worked on this a little bit. But if I had to do it over, I would have prepared them a little bit differently. But when it all came together, you still killed it. But you're thinking, I've learned from the situation, and we'll do better in our preparation. But we still nailed it when we needed to.
Right. No, exactly. Like, you get that AAB on the 3 categories at districts and barely slide by the states, as opposed to, superior, or, in 3 on stage and sight reading. Like, yeah, it could be a little challenging, so yeah, no, I definitely get it. I wanted to circle back to the double number thing.
Yes.
Because I did mention that. Virginia Tech cheated. And Brenton Pry said as much in his Monday presser when asked about it. So during the game, that long 93-yard field goal or whatever that they hit, which, again, I get so many people tweeting at me because kickers don't miss against Miami, especially long field goals. They just don't. But they had 2 players with number 17. It was the kicker and a wing blocker. And several Virginia Tech journalists tweeted it at the time and said, yo, they got away with it again. So this is the second, if not third time they've done this year. And Brent Pry was just like, hey, we had 10 on field goal. Somebody thought we were going to punt, but we didn't. And so then I'm like, give me the nearest person possible and go in. Because if we ran with the 10 that we had, the position missing, that it gets blocked anyways. So we're just going to do it. We're going to see what happens. If they catch it, they catch it. If it's a delay game, we punt. If it's a 5-yard penalty, we punt. So, like, basically, yeah, I knew it. I saw who it was. I threw him out there because he plays, it was a tight end or something. So he plays that position, and basically, if you ain't cheating, if you ain't trying, cop didn't see it, I didn't do it type stuff. And again, this is the second, if not third time that they've gotten away with it. And he admitted to it. He's like, yeah, so you just try it and see what happens. So you cheated is what it is. Okay, cool. So miss me with anything. And again, it was the right call, maybe done the wrong way, but it was the right call at the end of the game. But that was because of the officials going through their process. We did not intentionally cheat to try to score. Virginia Tech, however, intentionally cheated and scored. And, you know, then it's just a cheeky, well, hey, you know, and I saw like Andy Bitter, who's a long time journalist up there, their beat writer, I think Associated Press or The Athletic, like another couple of, you know, they're guys from Gobbler Country, they're, you know, the sister SB Nation blog, and other people like, yo, like, this is yet again another time that they did the same thing with the same guy, because it could only be kicker and this tight end who have the same number. But again, if you're looking for someone who intentionally cheated to score points in the game on Friday night, and you're looking over here at orange, green, and white, you're looking at the wrong goddamn sideline, because Brent Pry admitted to it. So I don't want to hear it about anything else.
When I hear that description, my first thought is the first time he encountered this, sure, let's see if we can get away with it. I don't have a solution for this situation right in the moment. Do it. But the next thing I would be doing is determining, when we come across that situation again, we need to take care of it in a legal fashion so we don't screw up.
Nope.
That would be my, like, we need to get this guy another jersey or whatever we need to do.
No, we're just going to keep driving with that expired license tag or license plate. We're going to keep rolling around with those 2% tints and hope that the state trooper is going somewhere else. You know, whatever it is. No. We're just going to do it again. And yeah, cop didn't see it. I didn't do it. But yeah, miss me with anything else, bro. So like, all of your outrage, for anybody who has outrage about it, turn some over to Blacksburg, because again, he admitted to it. And you can watch this on his Monday presser. If you think that I'm exaggerating for comedic effect, or you think that I'm misrepresenting this, which I am absolutely not, go and watch the film for yourself. That's absolutely what he said. And that's absolutely what they did. But anyways, 38-34, lots to learn, lots to clean up, and we move.
And I'll make one other point that I think people have a misconception, fans have a misconception of, because of the scoring progression, and then we'll get to the super chats, is Cam just outlined how Miami was statistically the superior team, on the field the superior team, et cetera, et cetera. I can't largely in any way disagree with that. Even though I watched the game, I don't have knowledge of the game like Cam does, because you tend to, of course, absorb your team. I just watched the game and then moved on to Saturday's games. But I watched the game. We know that Miami's a better team. But people get confused, I think, also with, oh, Virginia Tech had a 10-point lead, therefore Miami got lucky. And they confuse the level of play, the occurrences that led to a 10-point lead, and all of those things, as obviously the team that came back was lucky. That's another thing I've seen.
I mean, The only thing that was lucky was Miami stopped turning the ball over. Like it wasn't even like there was a busted play and we score from 99 yards out after a punt gets down at the 1, and then like a tipped interception return for a touchdown, and then like it wasn't that. Like Miami had to grind and go like walk up the field for those touchdowns. Like it was like, and I always leave the stats up for this very reason. If we look at the drives, the last 2 drives were 9 plays, 70 yards, and 10 plays, 57 yards. And the one before that was 8 for 89. So hold on, I got to get rid of this window so I can put this here. Like, yeah, that's what? 17, 27 plays across the last 3 drives, including an incredible Xavier Restrepo on his back on 4th down in the ball game, which everybody was like, that's nothing. Like the circus catches that he intentionally practices on a daily basis, like that's barely the tip of the iceberg. And I'm like, what is this man be doing and everything? You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah,
all
I heard
of that,
Cam Ward say that. Yep.
Xavier, or I mean, Restrepo himself he was the first person up for interviews. Like, yeah, no, that's not like. Mario hinted at it. X said it. Then Cam said it, and then like everyone's like, "Yeah, no, he's on some other stuff." Okay, well, great. I love that because like then and Cam was like, "Yeah." Then I had to kind of take some RPMs off and just kind of get it there. But like, yeah, this was not one play 98 yards and then a trick play and then no. That's 27 plays across 3 drives and a couple 4th downs, and everything had to happen. That was not luck. Now, it was an improvement on defense that, we got that final 3 and out on before Miami's final scoring drive and everything, because I don't think that I can tell you, excuse me, Jesus. Nope, that's 3 plays for a touchdown, 2 plays for an interception. 4 play. Yeah, Miami had not forced Virginia Tech into a 3 and out all game. You did have the 2 plays and the interception, which should have been a big game. Kyron Jones was just behind his receiver, and then it got tipped, and like Michelle Powell caught it early in the first quarter. But like that was a wide open receiver and a better throw. He's probably still running to this day. You know what I mean? But like 1, 2, 3, and then a punt. Miami had not forced them into that all game until it's 34-31 Virginia Tech, and Miami has to have the ball back to go score. There was nothing lucky about it. So, I'll leave it there, but like, yeah, no, this was earned by Miami for sure.
Great ball game. Great finish. Just exciting for college football fans to take in. And to another point that you've made in recent weeks concerning Miami popularity, also Virginia Tech certainly has a following, but most of this was Miami, and also being a great game that was controversial. Well, the controversy had nothing to do with the rating, because obviously people didn't show up for the last 3 minutes, but it being a really good game. 3.3 million viewers, I believe I saw the total, which was the 2nd highest Friday night game since 2018.
And 5th highest overall on the weekend. So yeah, again, Miami continues to be a big box office draw for ESPN. For years and years, we would have Thursday night games because they wanted to put Miami on Thursday night and be like, hey, it's a weeknight prime time. Let's start the weekend ratings bonanza with a known national brand. Again, I know that Miami has not been good, but just like I was talking about, if you get somebody from Middle America and it's Miami and whoever on a Thursday night, in general, the ethos and the brand is strong. Even still, hey, Miami on Thursday night, click. So yeah, great with that. And Miami is such a big draw that instead of going I figured it was going to be the North Dakota State game, or like somewhere else far flung that they usually don't go, because the major week for college game day is next week and the week after. Those are ones where it's like, yo, forget what you're talking about. Like, we're going here, we're going, whatever. But Miami is precipitating a first initial voyage for College Game Day out to the Bay to go to Cal this week. So that is, their maiden voyage out to Berkeley and everything. A wonderful college town. A friend of mine used to live out there for a couple of years, around the corner from the stadium. Does not live out there anymore, but a great little town and everything. And I'm sure that they're going to be featured on there. But let's be perfectly honest, it's because Miami's coming to town that College Game Day is going there. And then that backs up what Mark just brought up about last week's ratings as well. So, and it will be interesting to see what this week's ratings will be for a 10:30 Eastern time kickoff. Because, like those of us who are like majorly plugged in, or, like Mark, who, covers the landscape of college football, Pac-12 after dark, things like that, or maybe a Hawaii game that stays on until 2 or 3 in the morning or 4 or whatever. Like, we are a very niche audience, you know what I mean? So I'm very interested to see what the widespread rating number is going to be and how many other people who are not college football sycophants and degenerates like us stay up to, partake of Miami and super late. Because it's after prime time. It's late night, honestly, at that time. So, but hey, maybe they'll be flipping back and forth between SNL and Miami because we'll be on at the same time.
That you will. Falconer TRX in his customary position, leading off the show. Super sticker out of you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and coming back with cardiac canes may kill me before they win a natty.
Look, they talk about that with Mark Light Magic for the baseball team. The basketball team has had some close calls, and apparently the football team wants to get in on that as well. So just continue to be heart healthy, move your body. If you have to take any kind of medication, be sure you do that because we don't want anything bad to befall. But and hopefully we'll learn from this, and it won't be many more close games of that ilk.
Falconer, we so much appreciate you. Fans and students showed up, stayed, and loved it.
Yeah. It was a pretty packed house. I know some people are saying, it looked like it was only 20,000 people at Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night. I would urge you to go to your local Warby Parker or whomever. You can go get your eyes checked if that's what you saw. But yeah, Miami fans are always there and passionate, especially, for good games like that. I'm sure there were some people who might have even just scalped some tickets, in the first, second quarter and be like, hey, let's go over to the stadium, or, like Miami Gardens is right by Miramar, Pembroke Pines. There's people who could, make their way. North Miami is right there as well, make their way over. But, when it came time to have an impact on the game, that place gets loud, man. And like I said, no 3 and outs all game long until you absolutely had to have one in the fourth quarter. And I credit the fans for being there. And like, you could feel the building start to shake, man. Like, yeah, it was intense.
Knox Kane 94 with this one. We appreciate you, Knox Kane. Glad we got the win, but thought our coaches finally turned the page. First 4 games passed because teams stacked the box. Virginia Tech's best players are the secondary. They gave up tons of yards on the ground, and we all game try to pass.
Well, let me go look. Miami ran for 31 yards in the first quarter, but threw for 176 because Cam was dealing. Second quarter, burn it with fire, like in its entirety. Like the only thing that saved that quarter was that long Borregales field goal. Shout out to him at the gun there. But 7 called runs for 1 yard. Yikes. But the second half, 10 carries for 89 in the third, 8 carries for 44 in the fourth. So it got going, and 10 for 89 is 9 yards, 8.9, but 9 yards a carry, basically, So yeah, it did. I think that we had to lean on the running game a little bit, and including Cam Ward in, some escape drills on that. But those were the called runs in there, and you started to have success with them. Which I thought was needed, and for a good time there, and I was talking about in the press box. I didn't want to be hyperbolic and put it out there. Hold on one second. But after Cam was, let me look at the passing. After 8 for 11, like he's 10 for his next 20 with 2 picks and less than 100 yards. And there was a play when he reminded me very much, like on this play, he looked like a freshman because we call it, it's open, and he sees it, and he starts his motion. He goes, whoa, whoa, and double clutched it because he was seeing ghosts. You know what I mean? Like he was very, for that, I mean, again, that's 20 throws in the middle of the game. Like Cam was not, it was no bueno. And with that, then it's just like, hey, if he's not cooking or even really being, I mean, he was playable, but barely serviceable. We got to run this ball. And credit to the team, they found ways to do that. Now, I did have a couple people comment to me on social media and also on the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly that they would like to see more Jordan Lyle, maybe more Chris Johnson Jr., some toss plays, some stretch, some outside runs, not continue to try to just bludgeon people inside, because when you put 7-8 guys in the box, like even with a big and physical offensive line, like they just kind of have the numbers. So why don't we try to get to the edges a little bit more? I think that could be a thing that we could go to a little bit. I think, still, even in that kind of a game, Miami really didn't show much. Like we kind of stayed vanilla. You had the one play action touchdown on 3rd and 1, the beautiful play fake over the top to Elijah Arroyo and everything. But hey, even 4th in the ball game, we went to that return route again to Xavier Restrepo that had burned. That's the route that burned Florida, if you remember that, where he went to the sideline and returned, and then he spun and tore Asa Turner's knee. And like, so that, and I'm not going to go through all the other times. Y'all can watch it, and I'm sure, and the video's out there because the games are on television. But I've given you the first game and the 5th game, this route concept to that player being a thing. So we really stayed with our staples, but we did get to going in the run game. I do, and it's something I meant to put in the Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but then like I was just talking to so many people since the game was actually close, and I refused to be the last person in the press box anymore. So like when the last crew was leaving, I was like, okay, we're going to pack that up and finish that when we get home. And I forgot it in the travel from Miami Gardens back up here to Fort Lauderdale. Chris Johnson Jr. is dangerously becoming like Devin Hester. And what I mean by that is, remember when Larry Coker before that Sugar Bowl was like, hey, Devin Hester's going to play offense and we're going to try to get him this many touches and like da-da-da-da. And LSU was like, cool, thanks for the scheme. We're just going to like, target him now and not let him do anything that you've told us this is what you're going to do. It feels that way with Chris Johnson Jr. Anytime he comes on the field, it's like, just look at 24. Like, whatever it is he's running, that's where the ball's going to go. It's, if you're running the diamond formation, like, it's, 5 wide, solo receiver on one side, diamond over here, and he's the back of the diamond. It's going to be a quick screen. When he's running the jet motion wheel up the sideline, like whatever he does, he comes in for one play, and it's like, cool, we're going to give you this because like this is the new shiny toy. He's the fastest guy on the roster. Boom. But I'm like, if you maybe leave him out there for a couple of plays, then you might have the ability for some of those things to actually hit, because once he comes in for one play, you're just like, hey, it's going to him. And that curtails some of his effectiveness. Also, as well, in addition, on that last field goal drive in the first half, the last thing I will say, Chris Johnson Jr. was literally one step from taking that to the house. And that was a great play by the Virginia Tech defender, because if they don't get him, I think he caught his knee and then it slid down and he got him by the shoe. But man, he was this close. But it's going to happen. I just want to see maybe a little bit more connection to the offense, and it's less like flashing neon lights, special play, special play, special play, fast guy, fast guy, fast guy, which is what I feel like his utilization is at the present.
Max K94, and that last timeout by Mario.
And that last timeout by Mario. Give me a second. Game on paper. Let me go back to last week. I got to maybe put it in the chat, refresh my memory. as to what you're referring, I'm going to try to go through the play-by-play really quickly if this site loads. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
So Miami took a timeout right before the Hail Mary pass.
Timeout Virginia Tech, timeout Miami. Yes. If you have the opportunity to be sure that you have the defense that you want to have, and everyone has their last instructions for, performance on that play, you take it. I'm not mad at that last timeout at all. Remembering last year, times when we called those timeouts, Lance Guidry dials up the perfect play. Remember the Clemson game. Remember the Texas A&M game. Remember these other times when, hey, on defense, we call a timeout, we figure it out, boom. I don't have any problem with it. I would have had a problem if there's even a scintilla of uncertainty with anybody in that huddle during the Virginia Tech timeout. They just say, for optics to the fans, I'm not going to call another timeout. Y'all got it. You might not be comfortable with everything that we said, but go out there and do that. For who? For what? Right? You get NFL teams do it, college teams do it. Look, come off the sideline, see what the formation, see what the alignment is, see who the personnel are. If they have a special player out there, the freshman All-American, Nick Harbor last year, right? Doesn't do much, but he's 6'6", 252 pounds, runs 23 miles an hour, and can jump, high jump 7 feet. Timeout. Let's be sure that we have adjusted for him on, you know what I mean? No, I don't feel I don't feel bad about that last timeout at all. I would rather you take that timeout, especially take it, use it, and be sure that you are in the position for your team that you need to be in. If Miami had taken early timeouts in the third quarter and did not have the opportunity to take their own timeout if they needed before that final play, then I would be mad at it. But using it there to ensure that you have everything set the way that you wanted, no issues. None. Zero.
Appreciate you being here, Leroy. We've got the ACC owes us 2 more calls to make up for the safeties last year. So we 1 for 3 on bad calls from last year.
I agree. Also, incidentally, the referee from Friday night's game was the same referee at Duke in 2015 for the return. And he got both of those calls right.
Now, when Leroy refers to the 2 calls from last year, are we talking the Georgia Tech, Donald Chaney knee and what?
No, there were safeties in the Clemson game in Florida State that were not called.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I got you.
He was talking about those. So honestly, 1 for 4, because you got Donald Chaney bad went against us, and then the 2 safeties in those 2 games that were abundantly clear but uncalled. Yeah.
Falconer, that's Beamer ball, cheater ball.
Hey, man, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So whatever. I guess Miami needs to find ways to cheat.
Falconer, nervous about commies versus convicts game Saturday, Sunday.
Man, this meme, woke versus Coke. I've seen people calling it Cal in Miami. I mean, look, they're a solid team. They're a physical team. Mario said that, the Cal teams that, this Oregon team played were among the most physical that they would play on an annual basis and everything. Talented in some skill areas. They've been very dynamic in the secondary. They lead America with 10 interceptions, so far. And then Jaden Ott, their star running back, has not necessarily gotten off yet to the point to this point of the season, excuse me. But a player of his caliber is always one that, hey, maybe we should be concerned with. Last time we played Cal was bowl game, and they had Javid Best then before he got his brain scrambled on that hit when he was with my Detroit Lions. So, yeah, again, respect all opponents and fear none. I do believe that Miami is the better team. The line opened at Miami, minus 13, I want to say. So right around a touchdown or 2 touchdowns there. I think that that's fair and everything. But yeah, again, if Miami goes out and does what Miami needs to do, I think that we'll be okay. And I'm also very interested because Mario Cristobal has iterated this a couple of times. We're going to see the return of Ruben Hurricane Bain this weekend, finally. So that will be a welcome sight, especially because last week we just had so many random, hydration and like ankle and knee tweaks at defensive tackle that depth at that position was tested again against a physical Virginia Tech team. And yeah, Cal's going to be physical with it. So yeah, I'm not never scored touchdown. Yeah. I mean, especially at the end. But yeah, I mean, again, I do believe that Miami is the better team. I do believe that, we should be able to get out there and get with a win. But yeah, I think they're thinking about moving Johnson to wide. They should think about moving Chris Johnson to wide receiver. I don't. I think, we did that same kind of thing with Brashard Smith before, and he's, departed to SMU, and he's their starting running back now. And you really see, I mean, that's really what he played all through his career, and especially being, 5'9.5", that really goes, that's more where he fits than slot. So credit to him and credit to Rhett Lashley and SMU and everything with what he's doing there. But yeah, no, I don't necessarily think moving Chris Johnson to wide receiver is a thing. But I mean, we do align him there in some instances. But, even 2 games ago, Cam missed him because, he's wide open against a linebacker 3 games ago. That was the Ball State game. Wide open on a linebacker up the sideline, and he throws it late. Or what was that? USF. Either way, whatever. But, you did that and you missed him in the one kind of play there. So I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree.
I'm still a little upset with Cal for missing 2 field goals against Florida State in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, they would have beaten FSU, and I would have gotten a pick right. Or if they would have just made 1 out of 2, then they would have they would have needed to. Anyway, if they would have made 1 of the 2, then their red zone trip at the end of the game did not have to result in a touchdown. They could have kicked a field goal and won the game. So, and then I noticed that this Fernando Mendoza, the starting quarterback for Cal, is out of Columbus High School.
Miami Columbus, absolutely. So the same school, that Cristobal attended, so many other guys, it's a legacy school here and everything. Miami did kick the tires on Mendoza as a walk-on, potentially, during when Manny Diaz was here. He elected not to take that opportunity and go for one of his scholarship opportunities, and was somewhere else, and then ended up at Cal. So yeah, he is a Miami kid, 6'5", 225. He is pretty mobile, and accurate as well. So, someone to contend with for the Miami defense for sure. And I'm sure that, and he was very respectful of Miami and everything, grew up in Miami, wanted to go to Miami and everything. It just didn't necessarily work out. So he'll obviously try his hardest to, ruin the season of the hometown team. And we will have to do our best just to continue to find ways not to allow that kind of a thing to happen. But yeah, so there is even the connection to Miami all the way out there in the Bay with their starting quarterback.
Yes, and Cal does have an odd football history. The last time they went to a major bowl game was way back in 1959, Rose Bowl. Joe Kapp. He's even older than I, so I couldn't even reference Joe Kapp watching Joe Kapp. So if everybody's looking at me thinking, we don't know who Joe Kapp is, Mark, you're really aging yourself. No, just because I know football history. He led the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl IV. But Joe Kapp was then later the coach at Cal, but he was the quarterback that led them to the 1959 Rose Bowl. And Cal has not reached a major bowl game since. So they have had a very marginal, mediocre football history from a winning standpoint. But to Cam's point earlier, if you looked at their NFL player production in the last 20 years or so, I've seen lists where they've been fringe top 10 in regards to NFL player production.
I mean, yeah, look, man, especially since Aaron Rodgers, like leading that list, and there's plenty of other guys, along with that.
Deshaun
Jalen Best was a
Jackson.
first round pick.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson, hello.
Justin
Yeah,
Forsett and Marshawn Lynch. Yeah.
it keeps going. I mean, I know that there's guys on defense as well. I don't have their names as readily at the top of my brain, but yeah, Cal has had players and does have players as well. So Miami does need to, continue to bring their A game. Miami is traveling out to the West Coast tomorrow. So an extra day in advance to try to acclimate to the jet lag and time difference and everything. But like, again, Kiko Mawinoa and Cam Ward played at Wazoo. So they're familiar with what the daily process is leading up to a late kick on the West Coast. Mario and half the staff worked at Oregon, same thing. And honestly, like, you're already seeing the structures in place by saying on Monday, we're traveling out on Thursday. So we're going up a day early. This helps all of these things. It helps the recovery. It helps the sleep. It helps. All of that stuff is known. And again, if you're trying to run the program that we are trying to run, and you have these guys who desire to be professionals, you got to deal with this kind of stuff. So we're putting you in a position, and we have this organizational structures in place to build for success. And yeah, just traveling out there and then, just following whatever that procedure is. And again, we've seen additional procedures be implemented through that long 3-hour rain delay or lightning delay a couple games ago and things like that. Travel up to Gainesville, how'd that go? Travel up to Tampa, how's that go? Like things like that. So yeah, not concerned from a structural standpoint. From a performance standpoint, I do believe that last week was a wake-up call. I do believe that, obviously, I will stand by it. That holding call saved that from being a blowout Miami win. But in the fact that it wasn't, and we saw some of the deficiencies along the way, particularly tackling, Miami missed more tackles against Virginia Tech than they had the entire season leading up to that point. And some of that is credit to Virginia Tech being, good and, physical and, continuing to play hard through the echo of the whistle. But dude, come on, like even like that's exponential. You know what I mean? Like 100, like I think it was like 125%. You know what I mean? I think we missed like 20 or 18 tackles the whole season and missed 23 or 24 in that one game. What? Like, yo, what? Like, come on. But, my guy, Mike McCoy, is the one who asked Kiko Mawinoa about the tackling and everything when he said, I guarantee you the next time you see Miami play, it's going to be different. Kiko, I hold you to that. Also, shout out to Mike McCoy again. He was the one who asked Cristobal the question on who stepped up at halftime, where the answer is, this is not Hollywood, this is football, and you got to be a grown-ass man and do grown-ass man stuff. Our guy, Mike McCoy, asked both of those questions that engendered those really incredible responses. I hate that, and I tried to get it out there, but my phone reset as I was going back up to the booth and everything. So I wish that it was known that he's the one who said that. So I wanted to put that out there for him. To give him the credit, man, because he asked 2 really great questions. He got 2 really great responses, one from the head coach, one from the captain middle linebacker. But I'm going to hold Kiko to that, where he says it's going to be different and going to be better, in terms of not missing tackles. The next time that you see Miami, the next time we see him is this Saturday night at 10:30, and I expect that to, that proclamation to come true.
If my recollection is correct, the last time that Miami went to the West Coast for a regular season game would have been the year that they went and lost to Washington in 2000. And obviously there was a little round robin between Washington, Florida State, and Miami at 11-1 to determine who would play Oklahoma in the BCS championship game. And then the last trip overall for Miami would have been at the Rose Bowl for the BCS championship game in 2001/2 against Nebraska.
Well, no, I mean, we did play that bowl game, I believe, in San Francisco against Cal previously.
Oh, that was in 2007?
Yeah, something like that. So,
Okay.
I mean, but
yeah.
And then other than, going to the place where civilization goes to die, El Paso, Texas. Yeah, this is pretty much.
I'm going all the way to the West Coast.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like the only other option is El Paso,
Yep.
Texas, other than those couple of times all the way to the West Coast. Because, we haven't played anybody else out there. So, look, it'll be great. I mean, there are hurricanes everywhere. So I know that there are people in the Bay Area. I know that there are people around California and the West Coast who are going to come down for that game and everything. So yeah, it'll be a great show late at night and everything. And I'll have, just obviously I've taken a couple of naps to be fully dialed in. And I'm sure that the Miami Hurricanes will do the same thing. And as Muhammad Hussein says, Cam, all I got to say is 5-0. I'm with you, man. And again, I put it at the top of the good, the bad, the ugly every week. I'm celebrating this win because winning is not easy. And I know that it's tough when you win 61-0 and say that, but this is what it is. Sometimes a bad call does change the entire scope of a ball game, and you just got to keep fighting. You got to keep chopping wood, rowing the boat, one foot in front of the other, whatever analogy you want to, put there. And Miami found a way to do it. So yeah, man, very excited to be 5-0. We earned a hard fought victory. A Virginia Tech team that does have talent and had their back against the wall, and they were, Miami always gets everybody's best, but especially this year, yeah, we're going to be the Super Bowl for a lot of teams because, even as you're looking further down the line, like I know Louisville was expecting or hoping to be undefeated in week 7 when Miami goes there, but they lost to Notre Dame. You think that they wouldn't delight in beating a Miami team? You think that Florida State, for all of their failings and probably going to Brock Glenn now because DJ Uiagalelei might have a broken hand, finger, whatever thing. I mean, we've seen it happen, right? When we lost to them 3 years ago and should not have. You know what I mean? You think they wouldn't? Also 5-0 undefeated Duke, Manny Diaz, who was unceremoniously thrown to the side so we can get Mario Cristobal. You think that he would not love anything more than to ruin a Miami season? So yeah, we're going to be the Super Bowl for a lot of these teams. It's going to be all out effort, leave everything on the field because they want to be known as the team to derail this train. So, it's incumbent upon Miami to continue to improve, to continue to move forward and everything. And, continue to see development from players all over the roster. Shout out to Justin Scott, who continues to play more, true freshman 5-star defensive tackle, playing like a potential freshman All-American inside. And hey, inside defensive tackle, that's grown man area. It usually takes, for offensive linemen, you don't see many interior linemen start as freshmen. Those are guys who are much older, 20, 21, 22, 23, and you're going toe-to-toe with them. And I know that hey, he's blessed with uncommon size and strength, but there's still that grown man strength where if you have any kind of age to you, it hits a little bit different. Shout out to him. Shout out to Malik Bryant for his development. It was a changed call. Mario had to stop himself from giving away the scheme, but they saw something. So Virginia Tech thought they saw something from Miami to go for the fake field goal. And because Miami aligned a certain way. And then when they saw whatever it was with whomever, either it was personnel or alignment, Mish Powell said, change this up. And then he makes that play and made even other plays. So you're seeing development up and down the roster and things, and all of that needs to continue. And Miami really does, honestly, like we said, or I've been saying, clean up the turnover issues. And they really haven't been prevalent. They were, a lot last game. But if you stop giving the ball to the other team, I think that will be successful.
Falconer coming back with 5-0 versus 1-4. It's great to be a Cane.
Absolutely.
And then we've got Falconer TRX. Love the depth and the development.
Okay, that's what it's all about. And Marsh Thomas wrote a piece about that on stateoftheu.com also, so you should be sure to check that out.
How else is State of the U getting us primed for Saturday night?
Man, we have all kinds of great stuff over there. Film forecast is coming up tomorrow. We have ACC Power Rankings, State of Florida Football Power Rankings, got another couple of pieces. Maybe looking at, the power struggle between conferences with the Big Ten and the SEC. You're really trying to make it a two-conference landscape, things like that. I put the game day piece up, all that and more. So please come on over and fan with us, stateoftheu.com, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. My personal Twitter is at Underwood Sports. So yeah, we're always open and we have tons of great stuff. You're going to have great stuff coming from this game and afterwards as well, leading into the bye week, where I know, and I do have my notes here next to me, where we do have a couple of topics for the show specifically, and then hopefully just recap the first half of the season, because it'll be 6 games down and 6 games to go, and going from there. So yeah, always always open, always about the Hurricanes over there, because we're pissed off for greatness, baby. StateOfU.com.
We've got a Miami post-game show here for you. So right after the game, as late as it may be, check it out. Cam, appreciate it. Get those naps in and bring home a winner.
I will do my best, man. We'll see you next week.